Hi guys, welcome to my kitchen. Tonight we are making Chinese noodles. It's very general there because it's based on a chow mein recipe, but I've Maddieized it so it's a little bit all over the place. Now normally I do chicken for this. I do chicken thighs and I will season them up a little bit and toss them in the skillet. But tonight, this is actually going to be our vegetarian meal for the week, so we're using tofu. This is actually my first time using tofu, so we'll see how this goes. So this is a block of extra firm tofu. I followed the instructions I found online, which said to drain out the water out of the package, wrap it in a clean kitchen towel, and then put something on top of it for about 20 minutes to press out the moisture. So I did that, and now we're gonna go ahead and cut it into cubes. What I'm going for here is like a crispy, well, I guess as crispy as you can get tofu, crispy oven tofu, and one just fell off the wagon.
5-second rule.
No. Okay, so in here I have, check my notes for how much I actually put in here, 1 tablespoon of amino acids, which I'll talk about a little bit more later on, essentially soy sauce, and then 2 teaspoons of sesame oil. And so I'm just gonna go ahead and put my little tofu chunks in there. And what we're gonna do is, I've got a spatula. We're going to stir these around and coat them in that mixture first. And then once we've got them coated, we are going to put some cornstarch on there. I also read online when I was researching about the tofu that freezing it helps the texture. I didn't want to do that this time just because I was already, doing all I could do to press out the moisture and everything, and I wanted to make sure it was actually thawed out in time for the recipe. So I didn't try that this time, but in the future, hopefully I will. I'm adding in roughly a tablespoon of cornstarch here, and this should help to let it crisp up in the oven. And what we're looking for here is, I did kind of make these chunks a little bit huge, so I probably should have cut them one more time. But what we're looking for is not having any more white cornstarch in the bottom of our bowl. Okay. Now, the oven is preheated, by the way, to 400 degrees. And then now we are individually placing our little tofu-lets here. Now I didn't put any like salt or specific seasoning in here because it is gonna get some flavor from the soy sauce and the sesame oil. And just in general, this sauce is a little bit on the salty side, the sauce for the dish. So I'm not too concerned about salting the tofu, but I probably would be if I was using it in a different application. Excuse me. I do have some weird little chunks here that I probably wouldn't have had if I did freeze it. But hey, it's a learning experience. Yay. Dump those guys out there.
Yummy.
Okay, so what online is telling me is to pop these in my 400-degree oven for approximately 20 minutes and then flip them guys will be coming back shortly once I am ready to get my actual veggies and everything ready to go. So see you then. Hi guys, welcome back. So I just flipped the tofu in the oven, and basically you can think of this dish in 3 parts. So the first part is getting your protein ready, whether that be tofu or chicken or whatever you're using, getting your noodles ready, and then sauce, and then actually doing the vegetables, sauteing the vegetables. So what we're gonna do now is the sauce so that we have that ready. You wanna have everything ready before your vegetable step because that's the quickest step and that's where everything comes together. So for our sauce, we are doing 1/2 cup of liquid aminos. So I did promise that I would talk about this a little bit more. I actually used up my container of it tonight, but I wanted to have it so you could see it. Now this is something that I really recommend getting into if you are being a little bit more health conscious, but you still want and like the taste of a soy sauce. Now, it's not exactly what soy sauce tastes like. It's very, very close. It's a very good substitute, I feel, but it's not exactly the same taste, but the health benefits far outweigh what soy sauce can offer you. Just the calorie count alone. It's 5 calories for a serving, and soy sauce is just alarming in about every aspect. So this is what I use when a recipe calls for soy sauce. So we've got 1/2 cup of that. And I do apologize, I'm gonna have to step aside for a second to get my noodles in the water. These are the noodles that I am using tonight. Now that's not a traditional chow mein noodle or lo mein noodle, and the reason that I use those is actually because when I first was making this dish, I was looking for a chow or lo mein noodle and I couldn't find one, and these were what I could find. But I actually like the way that they taste and the thickness of them, so I just go ahead and use the soba noodles. I've had more success finding them consistently than the other type of noodles. So those are going in the water. They should take approximately 6 minutes to cook more once it's boiled. No, we do not. Okay, that was about half the package, by the way.
Oh.
So we've got that, and then I need a tiny spatula. Okay. Then we have hoisin sauce. Now, this is delicious. So if you really love the sauces on Asian cooking, definitely recommend getting some hoisin sauce. It's not necessarily healthy for you, but it is delicious. It's kind of got that teriyaki kind of flavor to it. There is between 3 and 4 tablespoons of this. I was going for 3 and then I was like, but it's so tasty, I'll just add in 3.5. And then sriracha, which pretty much everyone is accustomed to now, 1.5 tablespoons of that. Now, I don't actually like sriracha. I like hot sauce, but I don't really like sriracha. But as an add-in in sauces, it's fantastic. It gives it this nice heat on the back end if you're not using too much of it. And it's, I caution to say this because I feel like everybody says this, but it kind of gives it a little bit extra like depth and umami, if I'm using that properly, especially in this, specifically in this. It gives it that nice little heat, but it's not an overpowering heat.
Who's mommy?
Umami.
My mommy.
Yeah.
Your mommy.
And then I've got sesame oil here, which you did see me coat the tofu in a little bit of sesame oil. It is what it sounds like. It tastes like sesame. We're doing 3 teaspoons of this. It gives it a good flavor, but you want to be careful not to use too much of it because it can overpower quickly and it's very salty. So that's where that saltiness comes from. And then a tablespoon of brown sugar. You can use regular sugar as well, but for that whole umami thing, the brown sugar is a little bit better. I'm not gonna actually mix this with my spatula because that's silly.
Mamu.
And so we're gonna just let this sit to the side. Now you'll note that I did not put any salt in this. You could put salt in it, but I would caution you to taste the finished product in this specific case before adding any salt or pepper in, because all of these sauces have their own sodium content coming in and it can just overpower it if you add an extra sauce. Oh, my noodles are happy. Okay.
Boil that dust back. Boil.
Alright. So we're gonna keep letting those cook, and then let's go ahead and get our veggies ready. Now the veggies are pretty easy too. So first things first, let's get our heat on. We're gonna do a medium, and we want to make sure that the pan gets hot. Now I don't have a wok, and I don't intend to get a wok for a long time because I don't make meals like this or like stir fry often enough to constitute going ahead and buying a specific special pan for it. And I'm not Oriental, so I don't really know how to use it properly. So this is the closest thing to a wok that I've got, meaning it's got enough space for me to do my vegetables and get my sauce in there and still get my noodles in there. So that's good enough for me. So this is getting warm. You're gonna put a little bit of oil in. I'm using avocado oil tonight. Avocado oil has a high smoke point, so that's great. That means I can heat it hotter without setting off my fire alarms, which I've done before. I've actually had fires in my kitchen before as well, so don't take too many tips from me. And we're gonna get our garlic in there as well. Now normally I would be adding ginger in here also, but I forgot to get ginger at the store, so no ginger tonight. But ginger does give it a really nice little, I don't know what it is exactly, but it's nice. I love ginger. And so I'm gonna go ahead and let my garlic sizzle in there for a little bit. It's a really good heat right now. That is probably 3 to 4 garlic cloves if you're thinking large cloves. Mine were a little bit small, so I just took a cluster of them until they looked just about right. They're starting to smell really good too. All right, now, next thing I'm gonna add in is my peppers.
Oh yeah.
So, this is a whole bell pepper.
Isn't that 2 bell peppers?
Well, it's half of a yellow one and half of an orange one.
Oh,
so it's a whole one, even though it's 2 different colors. Now I am going to turn down my heat just a bit. And then we're going to get my favorite little trick in here, and that is a bag of broccoli slaw from the store. So when I was originally making this, I was thinking, well, you know, when you get like a lo mein or a chow mein from the store, it's usually, well, not from the store, I'm sorry, like from an actual restaurant, it's usually got all these really nice little bits of veggies in there. And how can I, who am not that good at chopping, get all those perfectly julienne little bits of veggies in there? And then I was like, oh, broccoli slaw. Because broccoli slaw, it's got some cabbage in there, it's got carrots in there, and it's also got the stalks of the broccoli julienned in. So it mixes in really, really well with the noodles themselves.
Smells amazing.
Yeah, that garlic really smells good with that high heat. And the nice thing is too, with the broccoli slaw, you don't have to cook it for a super long time. Like, it pretty much gets cooked down to where you want it fairly quickly. Alright, so I am going to go ahead and take our tofu out of the oven now. Really nice thing about doing like
Looks like chicken.
vegetarian like meat substitutes is you don't have to be super concerned about whether or not they're cooked through. Like, you might be able to cook them a little bit better, but you don't have to be worried about if they're cooked through or not.
Stepped on the tofu.
So, what we're gonna do before we add in our tofu and before we add in our noodles is we're gonna put our sauce in here. Just to make life a little bit easier for us, mix it in with one thing at a time. Now, a trick with this, our sauce level doesn't look too bad. I'm gonna go ahead and put in the tofu and the noodles here next before I do this. But a trick that you can do as well is if you have got so many veggies and noodles and protein and everything in there that your sauce doesn't look like it's enough, you can add in a little bit of water, which can be from your pasta, or you can add some chicken broth or chicken stock in there to kind of loosen it up a little bit. And I almost touched that hot pan with my actual hand. That would be not good. One thing with coating the tofu in the amino acids and the sesame, excuse me, so when the 25 minutes was up and it was time to turn it, I could really smell those sauces in there. So it did seem to take that on very well, which is what, hair in my mouth, which is what I have heard that tofu does, is it really takes on the flavors of anything that you saute it in or soak it in. So just gonna mix that in so that the tofu gets nice and coated. And then this is just me, but I don't actually like drain my noodles because I'm already
Looks like octopus.
It does. It looks weird.
Yeah.
So I just pull them out with my tongs and then pop them right in the sauce here. And I think part of that too is since I know that I can use the water from the noodles if I need to kind of help that sauce level out, I'm not super concerned about getting them completely 100% drained. The only problem that I run into with it is making sure I actually get all the noodles out. Okay. This is just boiling away so nicely in here. And you can see that broccoli slaw really cooked down. Like it's still present, but it's not a whole lot of volume. All right, so let's go ahead and plate this up so you can see the finished product. I guess that means I could turn it off. There's plenty of sauce in there, so I'm not gonna add any chicken stock tonight. But I always like to have chicken stock handy for everything and anything, because you never know when you're gonna need it.
Do you want some better tongs?
No. All right, guys, there you go. So hopefully you guys test this recipe out. Oh, actually, I'm so glad Nathan didn't stop recording it. I forgot. My last little finishing touch
The topping
is gonna be some spring onions. And actually, my intention had been to sprinkle those in towards the end, to give it a little bit of that onion flavor, and also just a little bit of presentation because it bumps up the color level. So hopefully you guys liked this recipe. If you have any questions about making it, just leave me a comment and let me know.